All right, we are on live, and I am here tonight or today, depending where you are, with Dr. Scott Vatcher. And today we're going to be talking about what is ketosis and is it really safe? So, Dr. Scott, so happy to have you on. Let's talk about this a little bit because I know a lot of people have questions about ketosis, ketogenic diet, all these kind of things. And I know you are an expert in this. So, give us a little bit about you and how did you get from where you are, where you were to being, talking about ketosis and the ketogenic diet?
Oh, thanks for having me on here. We'll get started with a bit of my history. So I'm a health professional. I've been in the field of health professionals and diet and exercise, nutrition, training, working out. I'm a chiropractor for 20 years. So I've been around and I've seen it all. So this stumbled across my way about 3 to 4 years ago, and I was really intrigued by it because I'd tried numerous different diets over the years. You name it, I've tried it. I'm a bit of what I'd call a self-made biohacker. So I try a lot of different things on myself and see how it goes. So about 3 years ago, I was introduced to this idea of a ketogenic diet. I'd been doing paleo for a number of years before that, and I thought this might be like the next logical step to up my awareness and my performance out of my body. So I gave it a go. And that was an interesting scenario because using a ketogenic diet, you have to have a high amount of fat. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes, but you have to have a really, really high amount of fat. So it's a difficult diet to maintain. And I thought I did a really good job. My energy levels went up, my mental clarity was high. But a lot of people, the buzzword around ketogenic diet today, and I think why a lot of people do it is they hear the word fat loss or weight loss. And that's not what it's about, but a lot of people lose a lot of fat and weight on this type of diet. Mm-hmm. But when I tried it, I gained 3 kilos after 3 months of what I thought was a very strict ketogenic diet. So I sort of was a bit disheartened by the whole situation. A new dad at the time, young baby, put on a few extra kilos. Part of the process of trying this ketogenic diet was to drop a few kilos. So I was a bit disheartened, so I sort of went away from it for a little while. And then I got back into it when there was this introduction of what's called an exogenous ketone. And that can get you into ketosis similar to a ketogenic diet.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so real quick for us here in the States, 3 kilos is how many pounds?
3 kilos is probably about 10 pounds.
10 pounds. Okay, got it. Thanks. And so let's take a step back really quickly. I mean, if someone's watching this video, I'm pretty sure they're familiar with ketosis and ketogenic diet, or they've been doing some research, or they're currently doing some research. But really quickly, tell us what is ketosis, and and we want to talk about, is it really safe for people to be on a ketogenic diet? And but first, let us know, what is ketosis?
So yeah, before I get into that, every health professional has to have a professional disclaimer. So this is not specific health advice for anybody. If you are on medications or you have specific health concerns, make sure you talk to your own primary healthcare physician beforehand. This is for general knowledge and my personal take on what I've seen for myself and a number of my clients, but don't take it as personal advice. Go seek the advice of a health advisor. So back to what is ketosis? There's a lot of confusion about it. So really simply put, ketosis means ketones in your blood. If you measure ketones in your blood and they're there, and professionals will differ on their opinion of what is specifically ketosis, but a level of somewhere between 0.5 to 2.5 millimolar of ketones in your blood is what's considered to be ketosis.
Okay. All right, and ketones is something that naturally we have in our system, right? It's naturally created in our body, correct?
That's right. It's from fat metabolism. So when you wake up in the morning, you've been in a mini fast. Right now, say you ate at 8 p.m. By the time you wake up, get up in the morning, say it's 8 a.m., you've done a 12-hour fast at that stage, and there'll be a small level of ketones in your blood. If you measure your blood, it may be in the range of maybe 0.1 or 0.2 millimolar of ketones in your blood at that stage. And then the longer you fast, the more ketones are in your blood from the fat metabolism. So
Okay.
I guess even the idea behind ketones is it's an energy source, just like sugar. Okay, so your body will only be able to use sugar or ketones for energy. That is it. Those are the only two sources of energy you will ever use. If you naturally get into a state of ketosis at a decent level, which is 0.5 to, again, 2.5 in that range, generally speaking, it's because you've depleted your sugar and then you start burning fat. So if you stop eating sugar, which is what sort of like a ketogenic diet, again, we'll get into that in a minute, or you're fasting and you're not putting in any energy whatsoever, you'll use up your sugar first. And then when your sugar is used up, you'll start burning fat, and that creates ketones for energy. Your muscles, your brain, your organ systems can all use ketones for energy the same as they can use sugar.
Okay, so now we're getting into how is this safe, right? Because don't your body need a certain number, a certain amount, amount of carbs in order to actually, for brain function and certain body functions to be able to survive? So if you're depleting yourself of all sugar, which I'm assuming that means very low carb diet, is that even safe? And
Well, as far as,
can you do it for a long period of time as well?
yeah, so as far as is it safe, like, let's talk about a ketogenic diet. So the ketogenic diet, strictly speaking, is in the range of about 90% fat in your diet, about 5% protein. That's sort of a generalized consensus. A lot of people these days are using more of what's called a modified Atkins diet, which is in the range of 70 to 75% fat, and carbs, and again, 10 to 20% protein. So it's a little bit less fat, a little bit more protein, not strictly ketogenic in its strictest sense, but very similar type of ketogenic diet. A lot of people are getting into ketosis or ketogenesis when they're using that style of diet. So is it effective long-term? There are numerous people around who've been using a ketogenic diet for 10 or 20 years and are perfectly healthy. So generally speaking, yes. Now there's more and more research to come out about this all the time, because although a ketogenic diet was first started for small children with epilepsy in a hospital setting and had dramatic impacts for these kids having much less seizures, it's become a bit of a buzzword these days. So of course, where the buzzwords go, more money becomes available for research. So a lot more research will be coming out in the next few years about how safe and effective this type of diet is. And to be truly honest, it's very difficult to get down to anywhere near 0% carbohydrate in your diet.
Got it.
Because you want vegetables and things like that. So there's going to be some carb. So we're not talking about no carb, we're talking about reducing carbs.
Okay. So now you mentioned earlier, and I always looking for a way to get to where I'm going really quickly. And so you talked about the exogenous, if I hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, the exogenous ketones. Is that correct?
Yes. So there's basically three ways that you can get into ketosis, which, remember, is ketones in your blood. You can fast, or in other words, starve yourself. So just stop eating altogether. Now, again, depending on your situation, that may be a very unhealthy thing to do. I think periodically it's a very healthy thing to do, but you've got to check out with your medical situation and medications, et cetera, all of those things. But if those things pass and you're able to do it, if you can do a 24, 48, 72-hour fast periodically, it'll get you into a nice state of ketogenesis where the ketones will be created in your blood. So that's one way to do it. The second way is with a ketogenic diet. That is harder than it sounds, because when you hear a high-fat diet, you're like, yeah, bacon, you know. But you know what? Bacon actually doesn't have enough fat for the most part. It's too high in protein. So you can use bacon on a ketogenic diet, but you need to increase more healthy fats, coconut cream, and things like that. So on our website, ketosismadesimple.com, there's some other things on there that you can really check out and go into more detail about some of that stuff. So that's number two, is a ketogenic diet. The third way to do it, and a very new and very exciting way to do it, which I'm all over, I love this stuff, is exogenous ketones. And the one that I use is called Prüvit. So there's numerous exogenous ketones on the market. I think Prüvit is a market leader, and they've got some of the best stuff out there. Basically, it's ketones in a sachet. So what you do is you mix it up with some water. I've actually got one here, and you drink it. And so for me, it will raise my blood ketones in the range of 1 to 2 millimolar within 30 minutes of drinking it.
Wow.
So instantly you're in ketosis. Whereas in the past, before these were out, the only way you could do it is starve yourself for a ketogenic diet, which is very hard to follow. So very, very few people were in ketosis. Now, literally everyone can be in ketosis.
Okay.
So
Now,
very, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, so because you gave us the range earlier, 0.5 to 2.5 millimotors, and what you're saying is just by taking one of those packets, within a matter of 30 minutes, you could be within 1 to 2 millimolars.
Again, it'll vary from person to person, but if you measure your blood, you'll know exactly. That's really the only way to truly know you're in ketosis, is measuring your blood. And so it's a little, I should have had it here with me. It's a little thing, you know, smaller than your phone, about half the size of your phone. It's a little monitor, just like blood sugar. If you've seen diabetics using a blood sugar monitor, where you do a little finger prick, put a little piece of blood in there, and it'll instantly tell you your blood level of ketones. So if you do it before you have the drink, 30 to 60 minutes after you have the drink, now they guarantee as a company that you'll be in ketosis within 60 minutes. My personal experience is it's more like 30 minutes that there's that real spike in ketones. So I use it in conjunction with a ketogenic diet, but you don't have to. That's the interesting part about these ketones, because a lot of the benefits of ketosis come from their anti-inflammatory effects. So they have a very extremely anti-inflammatory process that goes on in your body when you're using ketones for energy. So that's why you get things generally like better energy, increased focus, and they're even doing studies now with things like Alzheimer's, dementia, epilepsy, basically a lot of neurodegenerative or brain conditions. They're seeing really dramatic positive impacts for people who are using exogenous ketones and ketogenic diet.
Nice, awesome. So what if you've taken the packet and so you're in ketosis, let's say 30 minutes to an hour later, depending on your body type and stuff. If you consume carbs, like on that 2-hour mark, does it kick you out of ketosis right away, or are you able to stay at a level, a certain level of ketosis at that point?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people who are researching this, a lot of people who I've talked to in the, I'll call it the fitness world, not so much the health professional world, but the fitness world, PTs and et cetera like that, they don't even believe that it's possible. They can't believe that you can drink a sachet and be in ketosis, because nutritional ketosis is very difficult to happen. The situation is very unique when you drink exogenous ketones, because remember, back to the definition of ketosis, it means there's ketones in your blood. No matter how much sugar is in your blood, when you drink this, there will also be ketones in your blood. So you are technically in ketosis. Now, you may have higher sugar levels, which are not great, but that's sort of the difference between that is you can use what's called a dual fuel situation, which has never been available to humans before. Because if there were ketones in your blood, it was because there was no sugar left. But now you can be eating a fairly regular diet, you know, relatively high in carbs, or actually, to be honest, extremely high in carbs, if that's the way you want to do it. Don't recommend it for health reasons, but you can be carb diet, drink the exogenous ketone, and you're in ketosis no matter what.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Scott, we're about to wrap up here, so let's do a quick lightning round here, and I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. You fire off the answers. Let's talk about some known concerns that people have around ketosis, ketogenic diet, and maybe you could help bust some myths for us here. So ketoacidosis, big concern around that. When people hear ketosis, what do you have to say about that?
I get it all the time. When I say the word ketosis, people hear ketoacidosis and think, oh, that's bad. And absolutely, ketoacidosis is very bad. It's a medical emergency. If you're in ketoacidosis, you should be getting yourself to a hospital. Typically, it happens in diabetics who do not control their blood sugar. And ketoacidosis is an example where, again, the numbers vary depending on who you talk to, but your ketones are in the level of 10 to 20 millimolar. So you're talking 4 to 10 times higher than when you're in a therapeutic state of ketosis, which is in that range of sort of 1 to 3. So 1 to 3, great, beautiful health benefits. Getting up 10, 15, 20 millimolar, which is unchecked diabetics, very bad. It's just like a continuum, right? Even water. If you drink too much water, it's bad for you.
Got it.
It's a continuum. Yeah.
The keto strips, instead of testing your blood, you using the urine strips. Does that work or no? Not.
Yeah. To be honest, you should use all 3 to get best results. So you got urine strips, you got blood strips, and then you've got a breath monitor that you can use as well. I won't go into too much detail about all of that because that's, I could talk about that for probably a half hour. Ketone strips are the cheapest way to do it, and they're a way to tell that your ketones are being peed out, basically, because you'll measure with your urine and you'll see that there's ketones on there. That tells you that it obviously got into your blood, because there's no way for it to get into your urine without in your blood. But it also tells you you're not using the ketones. So it's a great way to find out in the very beginning because it's cheap. To be honest, a blood monitor, each little stick you use costs $1 each. So it's not a cheap way to continue monitoring. Your urine sticks or strips are a good way to measure in the first couple of weeks. But if that starts to go away within a couple of weeks, what it usually means is that you're actually using the ketones better. You become more what's called fat adapted, which means you're using the ketones, therefore you don't pee them out. Great way to start, but don't use it for a continued measure to understand that you're in it.
I'm a big CrossFitter, love CrossFit. The biggest thing I hear is going on a ketogenic diet, you lose muscle. True or false?
False.
Okay.
No doubt about it. Ketones are muscle sparing, muscle preserving. So I personally know Tony Freeman. He's a big advocate of ketogenic diet. I've had numerous discussions with him. I believe his top placement was 6th in Mr. Olympia. As big as they get, this dude is huge. And he was doing a strict ketogenic diet for his last, I believe, 8 years of competition. And he was up there with the top in the world. And he's a big advocate for it. He uses the exogenous ketones as well, so he can use a dual fuel situation, which is probably even a better situation than the strict ketogenic. But no doubt about it, muscle preserving. I've tested myself as well, and in a 30-day course where I was very, very ketogenic and using the ketone supplements, so extremely little carb for that month, I lost 5.2 kilos. That's about 14 pounds.
Wow.
In that 28 days. And I gained 2 centimeters on my arms and 4 centimeters on my chest during that time period.
Awesome. Last question. So it is possible to have ketones in your blood and insulin being released throughout your body at the exact same time?
Absolutely, yeah. So insulin is independent of ketones for the most part. Okay. So insulin is about your blood sugar. So if you're eating a very high sugar diet, insulin is going to be used, or even a low sugar. Whenever there's sugar being utilized in the body, it has to do with insulin, and ketones are separate than that. There's a separate system of metabolism, a separate system of energy usage. So that's where the dual fuel situation can come in.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. So tell us one last time, where can we find out more about you, what you're doing, and the exogenous ketones?
So yeah, check out ketosismadesimple.com. That's where a lot of my energy and focus is going into as far as getting content out there. And if you're interested in those exogenous ketones, it's a place where you can check that out and even purchase some if you want to.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Scott, for your time and your knowledge and experience. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Awesome. Thank you.